Hello and welcome to this video. During this video, we'll talk about how to retrieve attachments from Remedy REST API. And for that, we'll use a script built for test HTTP client or HTTP test tool. And we'll go over this script and how it runs on the HTTP level. So initially, we'll define a Remedy Jetty server and username and password. So these are the data we will need to connect to. And then this is the entry path that we usually use to interact with entries on Remedy REST API. And we'll talk with this form, and we're going to retrieve information from this entry ID or request ID. And these are the two attachment fields that we'll be retrieving data from. So with those variables defined, we're going to start by logging in with this structure from line 11 to 14. And after that, we need to do some post-processing. So we're using this structure. And we're going to store the string AR-JWT and the response text into a token variable. So that's going to serve as the authorization token, authorization header from now on. So initially, we'll show what's in this entry ID, and there's some information in there that's available. And after that, we'll actually retrieve the attachment fields. So you can compare the structure from getting information from an individual entry ID, and it's a different type of request to retrieve information from an entry ID if we only want the attachments. You can only retrieve one attachment per time per request, so you would need to adhere to that nomenclature. And after that, we'll log out at the very end. All right, so that's the script, and we'll run it with this command, and that's just a CMD. That will hide the rest of the flags that we're using to get information on the console. So we'll start with the logging operation. We know we're getting a token, that's good. And after that, we're getting a single entry, that's entry number 12, right there. And the data that we're getting is this. So let me copy that and put it in a buffer that we can analyze. So this is the values object, and the values object will contain the field IDs and of course its values. And this is line number 17 and 22 show the attachment 1 DST information, and as you can see, it has multiple values like the name, size bytes, and the href, meaning the hypertext reference. So that URL is the one we're going to use to retrieve the actual attachment file data. And so let's move ahead and see what goes next. And that URL is the one we're using here. And we're getting the response HTTP 200. And that's the actual PNG data. One good thing about this tool is that we can see the byte content. And well, that's the actual PNG file. And the next file, it's in attachment 2 DST. And we're going to see the actual text because that's a text file. So that's the file contents. And that's how you retrieve information from an attachment using REST API. Thank you for your time.